Welcome back to the Two Comma Club podcast. Today, Chris and I are joined by Derek Boone. Derek and I got connected on Instagram, saw he was into some amazing real estate stuff today, and I know Chris is all about that, so I had to reach out. So, Derek, if you want to kind of tell people what you're up to these days in the real estate world and all that, that'd be fantastic.
Awesome. So before we get started, I just want to say I appreciate you guys for even just allowing me on your platform. Any platform I go into, I don't take that lightly. I think that's amazing. So people just want to hear my story and what we have going and what we have accomplished. So I take pride in that, and I just always want to just say I appreciate you guys, but also too want to give you your flowers for putting this together. You know, that's a lot of courage and just time to stop and say, hey, I want to build something that other people can hear and learn from and just get a lot of value from. A lot of people are selfish. You guys aren't, by putting something like this together. So I definitely just want to give you your flowers on that.
Appreciate that. That's the kindest things anybody's said to us so far.
Yeah,
you're touching me. So thanks.
But in reference to real estate, my name is Derek Boone. Since I don't know how long ago, people always call me my last name. I can't tell you why, but I've been going by Boone since the beginning of time. I'm a real estate investor here in Philadelphia. I'm 31 years old. Right now, I just sold off a property. So right now I'm like at $7.5 million worth of real estate. I was at like 8 point something. But I just sold off a property that was worth about $500,000. Well, it was a little over $500,000. And the reason why I did that, I was at this time in real estate, not even just in the time in real estate, but when you have bigger goals, sometimes it's good to sell off some not so great pieces to bring down some debt, get a little capital, and roll it into some things that may be a better move. Going into 2025, I have a lot of new developments that I plan on doing that I already had. Over my last couple of years, and I'll explain, I've bought a lot of vacant lots. So I just been picking up, buying them cash, just holding on to them. This is the year to start developing them. So I went and got some permits for some of them, and we're going to start breaking ground. So I just wanted to get rid of some, just some pieces that I had, so that would free up room for me to go ahead and do, other different things. And a lot of people need to understand that it's not always just about freeing up room to get extra capital. Sometimes if you want to go to certain lenders, they'll say, hey, look, I need you to clear off some of these loans that you have before we go ahead and lend you $500,000, $600,000, $1 million to do some type of development. That's a whole different ball game than when you just say, hey, can I borrow $200,000 to buy a single family house or a duplex? So that's one of the reasons why I did, not necessarily for the capital, but just to clear up some debt off the books so I can go ahead and use that to leverage to go ahead and do some other things. But that's some of the things that we have going on in 2025.
I love it. I love it. Hey, man, you're speaking my language. I love talking real estate. I love you getting into a little bit of nuts and bolts. Let's go. Let's get me excited. We're doing the same thing. We got some duplexes and 3 units, kind of selling off. And we're buying some multifamily apartment buildings and building them out a little bit. And I love single families, but I love them all. I love real estate in general. We're buying some commercial stuff. Yeah. We're partnering with people to do bigger projects we couldn't do on our own. And it's going to be a phenomenal year, 2025. So I love hearing you say you're cranking it up. That's exactly what I'm focused on this year. I love it. So big thing. Let's get into, because we got our marketing podcast, Two Comma Club. Mm-hmm. Let's get into what you're doing. Your coaching. I hear what you're doing, kind of how you're doing a little bit, and you want to grow. How are you like helping people? Somebody comes to you and says, Boone, hey, I want to learn real estate. What can you do to help me? Like, how's that going? What's that look like for you? What have you been doing to help people?
Yeah, so in our coaching space, we put people in a position where we kind of just, I believe in putting people in a position to where they can win across a chronological order. I believe in the B to Z model. So we'll literally put you in place where you can get every aspect from B to Z. The reason why it's B to C, because A is where you started. A has to come to you. I tell people all the time, I will be your Uber driver. I will be your chauffeur. I will drive you to your destination. I will teach you a long way. I'll put you in position. I'm not going to get you out the house. I'm not going to put you in a car. I'm not going to put your seatbelt on. I'll drive. I'll take you to where you need to go, but I'm not. So that's why I call it the B to Z model, because A is solely on you making that first step. But inside the B to Z model, I would say is we go and help you guys get funded. From hard money lenders to business credit to partnerships. A lot of people believe the only way to, get funding is from a credit card. It's multiple different avenues, multiple different resources. So I pride myself in talking about those different avenues. And then we also talk about finding the deal, which is the most important part, because people think that once they have access to the funding, that's everything. which we know there are more people that have money than there are good opportunities out there. If I say, hey, look, listen, I have an opportunity, we can make 300K net profit on a deal, everybody hands raise up. But if I say, hey, how many people has a deal we can make that kind of profit, it's not that many hands. So we focus on teaching people how to find opportunities, find good deals. When I first got started in real estate, I was a real estate agent and then I was a wholesaler. So when it comes to finding deals, I'm pretty top tier when it comes to that. And then I transitioned from that into becoming an investor, from helping other people build wealth. And I said I wanted to build it myself. So I take pride into helping people understand how to find deals, and then also help people get the funding for them, but then also help people in the construction aspect. When it comes to rehabbing properties, all of us, I'm my own GC. A screw doesn't get bought. A hammer doesn't hammer anything in without me knowing. Everything is run through me, but also I'm hands off. So I'm just making sure, supervising, making sure everything's put together. So those aspects is what I make sure I teach my students to help them understand that, so they can either go and rent property out for long-term wealth, or they want to go ahead and do a fix and flip and just get some cash to go ahead and roll over into, the buy and holds. But I always ultimately tell people every single person needs to own at least 3 properties. That's my motto. And the reason why I say 3 properties is because when I owned 3, that's when I started feeling some type of freedom. And freedom is perspective. For me at the time when I owned 3 houses, it was okay, I'm making enough extra money to pay off a car note, to pay some rent, to pay some bills, to do some things like that. Because if you make net cash flow, let's say $500 per house, that's not including your cash out refinance that you get. Let's just say you make a net of $500 per house. That's $1,500. I don't know what world people, obviously 2 Comma Club and things like that when you get to that level, but just an everyday person, an extra $1,500 on top of your job, that might be someone's rent. That might be 2 car notes and insurance. That might be one little weekend trip. Hey, like I'm in Philly, we might be able to take a weekend trip to New York and stay in a hotel, go out there and come back home every once a month. That's what I mean by freedom, just to have some extra money to do. So I tell people to do flips, but also, and also wholesale, but focus on just buying at least 3 that way you could pass down. You can make a little extra $1,000, $1,500 or $2,000, maybe $3,000 a month. Who knows? But I believe that's my main goal, to teach people that. But in those avenues through the B to Z model.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that full-heartedly. I remember I grew up in an environment where we talked a lot about like debt being bad and things like that. But it's interesting because in the real estate space, it's like there is such thing as good debt, right? And like I started asking questions like, what does that actually look like? And to simplify everything that I learned into one quick statement is basically that, if you can get to a point where you have more monthly recurring revenue than you have monthly expenses, that's when you have like ultimate freedom and you're good to go. In real estate's one of those vehicles for doing that. So I'm excited about this. With that said, I want to talk about your environment growing up and like how it is that you even got into real estate in the first place. You said you were originally a realtor, if I heard you correctly, and I want to know how you got into that.
So ultimately, I got into real estate from my grandma. So I'll share the story, make it quick. I started out I graduated high school in 2011. I went directly into college, Penn State, Abington. They kicked me out of college, not for anything bad as far as anything bad in that aspect, but it was more so grades. Be super honest with you, school just wasn't the thing for me. I would go there and I would leave. So my GPA was so bad. I had like a 0.8 GPA, and that was literally just because I wasn't showing up. As kids, we do things that just don't make any sense. Not showing up was like the dumbest thing to do. I have no idea why I did that. I would go to the first class, and the funny thing is, this is the funny thing. My GPA was like a 1 point something. I would have all Fs. I would basically have all Fs and like a D. I would have all Ds. And the reason why I had D's because I would have all F's and then I would pass the final. The final was 1 letter grade.
Nice.
So if I would have just did what I needed to do from the beginning, we all make dumb things. That was just my dumb thing I did in my life. Hindsight 2020, it still turned out how it was supposed to turn out because every person I went to college with, that I was friends with, that looked at me like, I was always like cool, but it was like, man, he's not serious. All those people, I either helped them quit their job, I either helped them buy a house, I helped them invest, or they're coming to ask me for a job. That's the funny thing, how life happens. So I graduated. I left there and I worked at this job at a retirement home. I was making $10 an hour there, just serving elderly prune juice, oatmeal, all that type of stuff. And I actually didn't know what I was applying for. I just seen a sign that said $10. I just took it, and I was working there for a few years, and I had a fed up moment, basically where I just did all this overtime, and you know how it goes, all the overtime, all the taxes, and it just was like, this just can't be life. And that's when I wanted to really dive deeper into real estate. And that was in 2016 is when I had that fed up moment. And then that's when I dived into real estate. I went to a home buying seminar, but this home buying seminar it was out of how to house hack. It wasn't how to buy a primary. It was more so how to buy a duplex, live in one, rent out the other. And the guy that was teaching the class, I believe in God. This had to be God. I pulled him to the side and he said, "Hey, you should give this a try." I said, "Yeah, that's what I'm here for." He said, "No, you should really give this a try." That's what I'm here for. He said, "No, like what I'm doing as a realtor, you should give that a try." And I believe in, if you're seeking information from someone and they give you advice and you don't listen, why did you come to begin with? So I gave it a shot, took the 2 classes. I failed my test 9 times. The crazy thing is, I kept losing, failing by like 2 points, 3 points. So I never would study. I would just like, oh, next one, I would just pass the 3 point. I always thought I would get over the mark. And then by like the 7th time, I was like, all right, let me actually stop and study. And then that's when I just passed it. So, and then I got licensed April of 2017. I sold by December 2017. I sold 20 something houses. And that's how, and it just blew. I made 6 figures that first year selling a bunch of houses. The next year I doubled it. Next year after that I doubled it. I hired a team. I had agents under me, and it just kind of blew up. Then in my office, this guy, I remember like it's yesterday. He came in my real estate office to meet someone else. But how the building was set up, if you come in on the weekends, you need a fob to go in and go out. So I said, "Hey, I'll walk you to the front door, let you out. But just in the midst of being on the elevator talking." I said, "What do you do? Because you're in a real estate office." I said, "You're a buyer?" He said, "No, I wholesale." I'm like, "What the heck is wholesale?" And he said, "Basically, I middleman houses." I said, "How much you made?" He said he made his last deal. He made 17 grand. I said, "My last deal, my commission was 8 grand. I wore a suit. He had basketball shorts on." And I'm like, "Nah." And as you guys may know, taking suits to the cleaners every day, every week, it gets expensive. So I'm like, I actually didn't want to do this anymore that much. And then that's when he told me about that. The rest is history. I was wholesaling a bunch of houses. And then I had this month. It was December. My birthday, December 17th. I remember I was in Bali, Indonesia. And I had 3 deals, $60,000 worth of deals just terminate. And I'm like, yo, not only January, I got to make new money, but I got to make up for the last money. And I just made a promise to myself. I said, I'm never going to have to make up for the last month. Like in full like that. I always want to have money coming in regardless. And I just made a promise. I said, I'm going to just start buying houses and keeping them. That way, like, I mean, obviously I might not make $60,000, but I still got rent, mortgage, car notes. I still got that stuff covered just basis on rental income. And that's how we kind of wrote it in. But the reason why I say my grandmom is because my grandmom helped me out with my first property I ever got. But I end up, so basically, she moved down Florida with my grandfather. They had a house where she said, "Hey, look, listen, we just want to get rid of the house." And then me and her worked out a deal. Before I knew it, it was seller financing. So me and her worked out an agreement on a house because I went to a bank. I couldn't get approved. And me and her worked out a deal on a house. I ended up living in the house, and then eventually turned into a rental property. But that's kind of like that was my first interest into real estate. But 2017 is when I actually was like, okay, this is something serious. This is about to be my goal. That was just me owning a house, living in it, but this was 2017 is when I was like, okay, this is about to be what I'm going to do the rest of my life.
I love it. I got a similar story of the family getting involved, but I love that, man. I like how you're growing too. I see, a lot of people had that aha moment. I just say you had that moment where you put in both feet. I was a contractor for years and years, and my partner at the time, we had just joined up, bought 7 properties together. He's like, "Hey, you got to quit swinging a hammer. You can't be swinging a hammer and let's grow." And that's why that's how I make money. And I make 6 figures as a realtor, contractor, did this for years and years. It's what I knew. I made really good money at, and I quit doing it. And when I quit doing it, I had to figure out how to make money. I had to figure out how to pay my rent, mortgage, all that kind of stuff. But that aha moment, I think, is super critical. And I think a lot of people never really reach out because of fear, because of people, their family talking them out of it. John's shaking his head. I know, Boone, you're shaking your head. But I think when people hit that moment, For you, what that looked like? Obviously, I heard you say you're kind of sick and tired of wearing the suits and being a real estate agent, and something had to change. What did that feel like, or kind of what was that experience for you, that aha and putting both feet in moment for you?
If you're interested in learning more about the tidbits and advice that they have, then you should consider subscribing to the 2 Comma Club newsletter, where you'll get daily updates and advice on the podcast and the things that we are learning from the individuals who have made at least $1 million. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com or click the link in the description down below and subscribe.
So the fed up moment I had was when I worked that job, and I worked all them hours. I basically lived at the job, for 2 weeks working. Basically, I worked like 18-hour shifts, because I would do the first shift, the double, and then I would do the triple, because I was just like, man, I need them extra money. And when I realized that that job was only going to pay me what they thought I was worth and not what I thought I was worth, that was my first fed up moment. Then my first aha moment was when I sold my first house as a real estate agent. It was, remind you, that first check that I got back in April of 2017, selling my first house, was $1,400. That check I had, that was my fed up moment, was working 100, however many hours it was $1,500. So that was an aha moment, like, dang, I just made the same amount of money when I was living at a job for something I actually enjoyed and just showed a couple houses. It was like, oh yeah, it's over with. It's super over with. And that was my pretty much my second aha moment. But the third aha moment, in reference to what you're saying, was when, like I said, I had like more than one rental property. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, the account actually got change left over. Because when you got one rental property, after you pay the mortgage off, you got a couple $100 left over. It's like, okay. But then it's like, wait a minute. It's like a comma. It's like, it's really some change left over. This actually works. And that was kind of like the first aha. That was like the first investing aha moment I had. Like, wait a minute. Like, because when you let's say you making $400, $500 net profit, cash flow, it's like, okay, 500, or let's say it's 300, 600, 900. It's like, it's slowly building up. But then when it's like 300, 500, 600 from each house, and it's like, wait a minute, I net $1,000 or net $1,500 every single month. It adds up faster. And I'm like, oh, this actually works. And I was like, okay, I need to do that. Not to mention, when you do, as a lot of people know or don't know, when you do a cash out refinance, you might cash out $20,000, $50,000. And then what I would say my last aha moment was when I said, you know what, I'm tired of, and this is perspective. I said, I'm tired of $20,000 checks. You're doing a small single family house, you might cash out a $20,000 refinance at $30,000. I'm like, this is cool, but like, how can we get to the next level? I said, how can I said, I want to make a 6-figure check. I said, I want to make 6 figures on one deal, one check. And I said, well, if the houses are only worth $100,000, $120,000, how do I expect to get $120,000? Aha moment. I need to do bigger deals. So I bought this deal that ended up being worth $450,000. My first 6-figure check, I put out $140,000. Bingo. I see the light now, and then that's kind of how we kept moving forward. I started buying multifamily properties, commercial mixed-use buildings, and things like that.
That's really awesome.
I'm doing a refinance right now that I just sent the lender the last document they needed literally 30 minutes ago. That's supposed to be $138,000 refi I'm pulling out.
Heck yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
I love that. It's really great. All of those different aha moments along the journey that God takes you on and everything. And it's really amazing how, like, in one moment you can be brought to a place where it could be seen as really frustrating and difficult because it's like certain things aren't working, but really you just need to add one more skill to your arsenal and some perspective on like where to go. And then it becomes something you can put in your back pocket and use when you need it. Mm-hmm. Like the realtor situation, finding more real estate deals and things, which is really cool. So another skill set that you have obviously is marketing and things of that nature. So how did you kind of transition from going into the real estate world to then finding out about the power of online marketing?
What's funny? What's really funny? I started coaching because my brokerage, Keller Williams, said you're selling so many houses. Can you teach classes?
What? That's so
They
wild.
literally asked me, said, you're selling so many houses. Can you start teaching classes? That's how I kind of like really just started. And then I started kind of like me and my friend that, taught me the wholesale stuff. He kind of had the idea of like having, I think we had like a little class, like an in-person class where we charge people, I don't know, $100, something like that. And we had a bunch of people show up, and he's like, so I believe everybody wants money in different levels. Some people like me, I want money. And then some people like money hungry. He was money hungry. Like he's like, all right, how can we squeeze? Like he was trying to do something all the time, which that led to other problems. But he came out, he was like, yo, we might as well just put together this course. We literally got the camera, set it in front of us, put both our chairs in the office together, and just started going back and forth. I said a little bit of game, he said a little bit of game, and we just kept going back and forth. We sold that course for $500. And it kind of just rolled in from there. People were just interested. We was having classes. We would do kind of like property tours where we would tour people, not the properties our own, but all the deals we wholesale, and show people how like the whole deal wholesaling start to finish. And we was having classes, and then him and I kind of departed for, multiple different reasons. And then that's when I kind of just started doing my own thing. But that's when it really turned. When him and I were doing stuff, it was just like, it was going okay. But when I kind of like parted ways, and I kind of like really, like I said, might be just God. When I doubled down just on me, it just took off. And I kind of went from stopped doing in-person classes as much. And I said, I recorded me a whole new course, got a whole studio, really did something really, really nice, elegant. And I said, you know what? And I don't know if you know somebody, his name is Nehemiah. He had told me basically we kind of learned about it at the same time. He a little bit before me about webinars. And I said, I'm going to we both agreed that we're going to do a webinar every Sunday for a year straight. I did a webinar. It was called Wholesale Secrets. And I did just teaching people the secrets about wholesaling. Everybody was secrets at one point. And I had a webinar every single Sunday, and I sold that course for between $1,000 and $2,000. Have specials and different things, $1,000, $2,000 for a year straight, and we just 7 figures, and we just kept going. And then how we got to the space we're in now. I started buying. I was already buying houses a little bit, but I started showing more of the buying houses because if I'm selling a program or wholesale, I only talked about wholesale online. But I was buying houses behind the scenes. And then one day I just kind of like, I remember it's like it was yesterday. I was on live walking through a property that I was fixing up. And then someone on live said, I remember it's like it was yesterday. Someone on live said, hey, is this a house you wholesale? I said, no, this is a house we fixing up. And it was like, can you teach that? And I'm like, people want to learn about this? I thought y'all just wanted to know the wholesale stuff. And I just slowly started transitioning to talk about, fixing up, flipping, and renting, and then that's how we got to where we at now. And that's what we talk about.
I love it, and I think you're right. People they want to know each one of the steps. And I think because there's so much fear, and if you can show behind the curtain, like, man, it's just so easy. And I think once you do one house, like you said, then once you do 3, and my big thing is very similar to yours, but I say 10 houses. 10 houses can change your life. You get 10 houses.
Oh yeah,
you hold on to them. Yeah. You're financially set for the rest of your life. You just hold on to them, pay them off, 15, 20-year note, and the rest of your life you're set. I mean, if you want to get real excited, get greedy, money hungry, do 20 houses. Then you can really kill it. You just pay them off. I think and it's just so easy, but I realized something you said is you've been growing and scaling. It's just a natural evolution because, money's not the object. It's just how you keep score.
Exactly.
And, once you learn something and master a skill, okay, what's next? Then you realize how easy it is to buy a $100,000 house. Then you realize how easy it is to buy a package of houses, like 10 houses for $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay, then what's next? Commercial, storage space, apartment buildings. We're doing that. And it takes, you tell me, but it takes just as much effort to put the lender packet together, to do the due diligence. A little more time, but the closing is a closing. You sit down and sign the same amount of time at closing table. And now if you manage it right and have common sense, you can buy an apartment building, you can change your life. I mean, one deal can change your life. So I
That's
love how
right.
your evolution. That's what we're doing now. Our goal is to buy $22 million of new real estate this year, and we're
I
well on the
love
way to
that.
do that. And once you set a goal like that, and then my thing is real estate has changed my life forever. How many more people can I help do that? And
Yeah.
that's really, if that's your heart, and people just gravitate to that, want to
Yeah.
learn, want to understand. There's so much. The pie is so big
Yeah.
that you can help people and educate people. So
Yeah.
with you, like, how are you seeing, or how are you connecting with folks? Obviously, people are kind of coming to you, but now that you get bigger and find different and better deals, how is that evolution, or how are things changing for you guys now as you're growing your business?
Like in reference, like online or just like real estate or both.
Yeah, just both online real estate. Like
Mhm.
things obviously growing. I see you're talking about bigger goals, and you had, obviously 10 years ago or 5 years
Yeah.
ago, even. Like, how is that changing for you? How is your communication with people changing?
Hmm.
Obviously, you can't help the same amount of people, the
Yeah.
same, effort. So, how are you growing with what you're doing?
I think in reference to real estate, I think the biggest word I would say is standards. You need to have a standard. So sometimes we get caught up in. It's funny. I had this conversation with one of my mentors. Sometimes we get caught up like, hey, this is going to be a quick 30K. Like, are we going to do a quick lipstick flip and in and out? It never end up pans out being like that. So he was saying to me, he said, you need to have a standard. It has to be this amount for me to touch it, because even if it goes over the time frame, I'm still not mad because it's still that set number. Because I caught myself doing things where, oh, that's a little quick 30K flip. That's gonna be a month. It never ends up being that. It might even be 2 months. So now instead of making 30K, you make 15 because it's 15 1 month, 15. Whatever amount of money you make, you divide it by how many months. That's how much you paid yourself every single month. So it never ends. So I think in real estate, going into 2025, what I've been doing, but just talking future term, 2025 is having a standard. If it's not this number, or if it's not this type of situation, I'm just, respectfully, I'm gonna say no. I say no to a lot of deals now every single day because it just doesn't hit that standard. And respectfully, you have to just be comfortable with, hey, look, if it end up being something more than what I thought it was, I'm cool with that. But at that time, it just did not hit my standard. In reference to the online business is tricky because it's still the same thing as standard, but then also you have to understand the times in which you're teaching and how you're teaching it, and what is the masses and what is the environment. So what I mean by that is I don't want to. So another business that we have is our event space business. So like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like people having conferences or birthday parties or things like that. So we have
Yeah.
a building. We have a big building that has 3 different rooms in it, and we have events in all 3 different rooms. So we have, let's say, a birthday party may go on here, a networking event may be going on here. So we've been doing that since 2019. That's one of my other businesses that I do. I literally just got that from my mom, and she runs and operates that. But I realized that people like hearing about that. So the online space gets tricky because, hey, look, I want to only talk about these bigger deals, but then there may be a masses of people like, hey, I want to figure out how to go from 0 to 1, or I want to figure out how to go from 1 to 3. One of my friends tell me there are more people trying to go from 0 to 3, 0 to 1 than there are people trying to get from 8 to 10. So in the online space, you have to just understand who do you want to serve? Who is your perfect client? And then that's kind of what you want to serve. It gets difficult for people like me where I've done realtor. I made a lot of money being a realtor. I made a lot of money being a wholesaler. I made a lot of money being an investor. I made a lot of money doing event spaces. I made a lot of money online coaching, to where it's like, okay, I'm good at everything perspective wise, but so which one do I really want to like hone in on? So what we've been doing lately is just focusing on the real estate investing, and then the event space aspect, as in like, hey, you can buy a commercial mixed use building and run a business outside of the building. So we don't really talk about the wholesaling anymore. We don't talk about the realtor thing anymore. But the reason why I say it gets tricky, because it took me some time to kind of like identify which one I wanted a lot. Because at one point I was like, hey, I'll show you guys everything. Like, I had this conversation with one of my friends. My best year, not financially, but as mentally and consistency, was that year I did a webinar every Sunday selling one product, the wholesaling course. smoothest year. That year we did 7 figures. We did a million, like like 1 point, like an even million. But I did other years where we made more than that. But the other years were just like we were selling a lot of different offers. That was the cleanest year. So whoever's watching, I don't know how you want to, what information or game you take out of that, but that's something to think about.
Yeah, I think to iterate that a little bit further, I think the word that I would use to describe that is like focus, right? And we had Eric Thane on here not so long ago, and he had a story that I think highlighted it really, really well. And it's basically like if you can find one thing that you do and you do really well, and then find one person who has that problem, and you just make that, like connecting those people to your solution nonstop, the thing, that's what's going to take you to the next level. And it's like just sticking to that one thing and niching down. So totally agree with that. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about how it is that you have gone about like getting people to discover your webinar and things of that nature. Like what did you do to drive traffic to it?
Oh, so we can get into some real plays now.
Oh yeah.
All right. So it's a multiple different reasons. And I want to shout out the funnel that we had got. The 2 Comma Club was, I got that with my 2 guys, Ramel and Kenny Smitty, and we partnered together and we ran this funnel where we made multiple. It's so funny because I didn't know that really about the 2 Comma Club per se to put a application in before. But we kind of like knew about it later in the road, so we put the application in for us together. But I didn't even really think about it to put it in before. But that one we did that together. So I'm gonna just share a couple things that I've done in the past, what we done and what we do now. So when I did that first 7 figures on that Sunday webinar I did every single week, selling a wholesale course, I didn't run any ads. What we did was we utilized something called shout out pages. So we would get Instagram pages that would just have all different types of pages, all different types of niches, because we wanted to figure out which ones were bringing in the client that we wanted. And we would go ahead and just pay them $50, $100, $500, $1,000. Hey, post this meme of me saying, I used to use the same meme. It would be a picture of me holding about $5,000 or $4,000. It would just had a handful of money, and it would just say, once you get into real estate, how would I say? Once you make six figures in real estate with at least $1,000, here's the info. And I would run that ad on a bunch of different pages, and I had one meme where it would say, at that time, I guess I was like 27 or 28, whatever age I was, it would say 28-year-old investor buys 3 properties in 1 month. And I just like ran little things like that, and it would just bring in so much traffic. But the biggest thing that people have to understand is how to keep track of everything and try to figure out where all the leads are coming from. So we would have text numbers. We utilize this website called Mobile Text Alerts. Text house to 74121. And I would have a different number for each shout out. So I knew which one was bringing. That's good. What was bringing in one of the most leads. And then after, a little bit of time, I would then, okay, these are ones we need to cut. These are ones we need to double down on. And we will work out basically packages. Hey, you post me more than 1 time a week, every single week. And this is the price we set for the month. The ones that were actually working. That's how we were kind of doubling down on that. And that worked really well. But then also what I realized, as you guys may know, when it comes to webinars, it's not about how many people that you get. It's all about the show up rate. It's all numbers. You get the amount of people to register. You have between 30 and 50% actually show up. Then you're good at 10% conversion rate, 8%. It's just all numbers. So my problem was, I said we need to figure out how people show up. So instead of just reminding people one time, we will remind them multiple times during the week. And then during the day of the webinar, we would remind them multiple times, and we would do something called ringless voicemail. We utilize this website called Slide Broadcast and would leave a ringless voicemail on their thing. Hey, it's Boone. I tried to reach you, couldn't get through. Nonetheless, I just want to remind you that the class is tonight. We're going to be going over this. I'm excited to see you. Sorry I missed you, but I just wanted to make sure you knew about what you were reminded about what's going on tonight. See you later. And I would send that out, and our show rate bumped up. And that's how we were able to get more people on, and we would close more deals. That's what we were doing before. And then that's when we started running the ads. The ads helped out a hell of a lot. I've tested ads where we sell, and everyone's different. But for me, when I would run an ad straight to an offer, it really didn't work out that well to me. So I started running ads strictly just to the master classes. They worked out well. I realized a couple different things. As climate changes, ads need to change. The reason why I say that is because at one point you could run an ad, so one type of way, and then in a real estate space, so many things happen. It's not none of our fault. It's just some people just do bad business where real estate had got kind of like a scam word name. So we had to change our ads. So I started running all my ads. I'm literally walking through the house. You see everything. Like I had an ad where the contractor was literally working behind me. I did this one ad. It hit so hard. I was standing in front of a house. Look, and my video guy did this cool thing. I was standing in front of a house and I said, hey, look, this is the property I own. Wait a second. Everybody always talks about houses they own or houses they fixing up, but we never see nothing going on. So I did this jump and he kind of like teleported me on the inside. And I'm walking through the house and the guys are actually working. I'm like, yo, we're about 90% done. We plan on making this. And I'm walking through a show and that ad hit because it was authentic. It was real. You couldn't fake that. So that's as the climate changed, I realized we needed to make more ads that were kind of like showing proof and it wasn't just so flashy. For me, I can't speak for everybody, but that's for me. And then also the ads that we started utilizing with selfie ads, not all that fancy camera equipment. Because as climate changed, people realized like people just doing some flashy show up stuff and it didn't really work as well. So we get an ad and say, hey, what's up? My name is Derek. I'm a real estate investor, do X, Y, and Z. Look, you want to do more. I know you can do more, but you just need to do it. Look, I'm having this class. If you like it, join. If you don't. And I just made it super personal, super natural, and that hit. And that's kind of like those ads is what we really started, putting together. And then that's how we were marketing a lot of people. But then I really tried to get into the 1 to super many model. And we started doing things called challenges, which you guys may be familiar with, where we will run a challenge where pretty much 5 days we're teaching them game on game on game on game on game. And the thing about that is by the 4th day, they're like, whatever you want to sell me, I'm here. It don't like you want to sell me a rock. I believe in you. Cause it's easy to script a 2-hour webinar. It's hard to say game for 5 days. It's hard. Unless you're somebody like us that has the information. I could go 10 days. I can go 20 days and it will be something new every single day. So I realized that was an easier way to get more people in, to get more people in a high ticket, and then also get more people in a down sell. Because when you offer someone, let's say a 10K offer and they couldn't get the offer, this is a lot of stuff I'm telling you guys, and they couldn't get the 10K offer, but then you down sell them on, let's say a 2K or a 1K. It sounds a whole lot better when you just came off of a 10. Hey, look, listen, I know we only had 30 spots for the 10. I know you really want it. We sold out. But look, I have this 2K, which is going to give you just as much of value, but it's not as intimate, but you're still getting the game. It's more so a done for you, a do it yourself and, do it at your own pace while this is an accelerator program. So you can take your time and do that. And then maybe our next go around, you can upgrade to that. It made down sell a lot easier. So that's how you can do, the 7 figures in one session versus a whole 12 months.
One of the things you hit on, which we're talking about a lot, this is what I'm always interested because I always say when people pay, they pay attention. I hear other people say that. And I knew I was just doing like you. I was sitting down for coffees, for lunches with people, telling them what I'm doing, how I got in the game, what I'm doing, how I'm hustling. And they would just look at me like, what? And I'm like, well, this is what you got to do. And, and I think too, people, once they start, I had a mentor. He's like, look, you just start charging for what you're doing. Like, I just want to give it away, man. I love what I do, real estate.
Yeah.
And once people started paying, they started showing up and they start putting the effort in. They start putting the work in. And, I just, because if you don't pay for it, the value's not there. You can't, as a contractor, I know that people pay a lot of money for something. They really want it to be spot on versus, hey, I did this for free. What's that?
Mm-hmm. The heart follows the pocketbook.
Yes. Yeah. So what I just think, hey, exactly. So that's one of the things I realized. So I know, coaching, you're going to get different things, different value. I'm just all about John will tell you, like, I don't want to do anything if we're not giving 10x value. Like if we're not giving more value than what they're paying, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. We talk about that all the time. Looking at your life, where has it been important for you to get coaching, mentoring, help? Obviously, people are coming to you. Where is it you've been filling your bucket with coaching, mentoring, help, and how have that been of value to you?
I'm really big on coaching. I'm really big on mentoring. I'm really big on, seeking information from people that just already showing that they did it. I think that's been my whole life. If you look, when I tell you the story, the college thing didn't work out. And even in college, like, I remember I took this real estate class and it was a guy, he really wasn't in real estate. He just was reiterating the book. The business class, it really wasn't nobody in business, just somebody reiterating the book. So with my history, college didn't really work out. So by default, I had to learn from mentors, from people. The only reason I'm be super transparent is not that I don't have hard work. It's not that the only reason I got to success I have so early is from mentors. Like, some people don't know how to take it, but if I meet somebody and I know and they giving a lot of, I just ask them, like, how much? I'm talking about, it's been times I paid $50,000 for coaching. There's been times I paid $20,000 for coaching. There's been times I paid $10,000 for coaching. There's been times I paid $5,000 for Zoom calls. There's been times I paid $3,000 for a lunch. There's been times I paid. I'm talking about, I spent way over $100,000 just in coaching, and just I like, sometimes I might send the money a little too fast. Like, I realize people respect that. Yo, I'm not here to play around. Like, how much I'm about to pay somebody $3,000 to help me with something right now. It's just, I believe in just, if they know what they're talking about and they doing what they're doing, like, just pay them so we can get this ball rolling now. And that's just how I feel. I think coaching is important. I might be a little biased because college didn't work out for me, so this was the only other option I had. Like, I had to learn from somebody else. And also I believe in, like, the fast pass, and naturally me, I'm an X advice before I buy. Like, before I buy a bottle of water, I'm an X, hey, is this the good water I should buy? Before I go and go on a vacation, I'm YouTubing, what does this country look like? I'm calling somebody, I'm asking somebody. That's just me. It doesn't make any sense to waste time and money if somebody already did it. Just ask them. And if they charge, like, so what? If somebody charge you $100, but it saves you $1,000, who cares? That's my thought. I really saved $900. That's how I look at it. Somebody charged me $50K, but it saved me $1 million. I really saved $950. It doesn't. You get what I mean?
Amen to that. It's all about opportunity cost is the word I use all the time with that. Exactly. What have been some of your experiences being a coach for others? Like, what have been some of the highlights and even some of the pitfalls that you have to learn about yourself and all that?
I think that's a great question. I think that's a super great question. The highlights are people like, one of my mentees just told me yesterday, he's closing another house next week. He said, I wanted to tell you once I fully got the clear to close and everything. So he got another house he closing next week. This is his second house. I'm excited about that. So all the people I've helped make money, close houses, build wealth, do all those things. That's the highlights of it. That's the top tier highlight. The second tier highlight is, which is really dope, teaching people the game. And then I'm buying some. I've taught a lot. Like I told you that year, I taught a lot of people how to wholesale. I bought a lot of deals off of my students. Like, literally, I bought wholesale deals off of people I've taught. And then they just found a deal. And I said, what, I'll just buy it off you. They'll say, hey, Boone, I got a house under contract. I'm like, wait a minute. That's in my area. Oh, I'll just buy it off you. You got an in-house buyer. So that's the second level of highlights. The downfalls, I would say, and this is one of the things I did to stop it, is, this is for every single person that's any type of business in general, is being clear. You have to be crystal clear. You can't leave any gray area. You can't say, oh, I might do this. You can't say whatever you need to say to sell it. That stuff comes back to bite you in the ass. Come back to bite you. 100%. You say, hey, look, coaching is 6 weeks of coaching, and I'm gonna analyze every deal you send to me. What happens is they send 5 deals a day. Hey, look, we're gonna have coaching. It's gonna be 6 weeks of coaching. We're gonna have 1 day of the week designated to do deal analysis. What I realize is nobody gets mad. You ever saw this is super random, but you ever saw the Batman, the one with the Joker in it?
Yeah, for sure.
That's my favorite movie. he said this on a movie. He said, nobody gets mad when it's, how did he say it? He said nobody gets mad when it's like playing chaos.
Yeah, when it goes to plan.
When it goes according to plan. When the man
Yeah.
says the city's about to blow up and it's going to blow up tomorrow at 5:00, it's and it happens. Nobody's stressed out. It's according to plan. But when things happen, it's not according to plan. That's when everybody goes to shit. So what I learned is the hard way is don't say nothing that you 100% can't do, or it might be a chance you can't do it, because you may do 99% of things right, and it may be that one day. Let's say, for example, you said, hey, I can meet with you twice a week for 10 weeks. You do it twice a week, all the way up to week 9, and then week 10 you only meet in one. They will have a full heart attack over that one time you didn't do it. So if you, even if there's a chance that you can't do it, just don't add it in the program. Don't make it a bonus. Don't do none of that, because it's going to come back to bite you. And this is for anybody that's have any type of coaching program. It's just not worth it. Under promise and over deliver. Nobody ever gets mad at the extras you give. They just get mad at the things you don't do. That's on that checkout page that you said you're going to deliver.
I agree. Yeah, John, I talk about this all the time. Like, how can we over deliver and under promise? Like, let's give them some bonuses. Let's all give them some more value. Like, let's just give stuff away that we didn't talk about. And I think that's just, it goes a mile. To me, it's like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, look, I want to be surprised. I want to be wooed. I want some new information, something nobody else is doing, something different. Save something for the end. It's really special. To me, that's what I want. So, like, hey, how can we give that value to people? And I think it really pays off dividends when you do that. So,
that's a fact.
Here's the thing I see for students that we have, also for myself, hurdles. Once you start getting some traction, you start getting some progress, there's going to be hurdles. There's going to be things that hold you back. You're going to have issues. Something's not going to close. Like you said, you can't deliver on a 2-day, a week, promise to connect with people. What are some of the biggest hurdles you've had kind of hit, some pitfalls and things in your journey kind of kept you back that you kind of overcome to get to the next level? Is there something in particular that's really hit you hard that you kind of worked at and now it's made you that much stronger?
I'll just say it in two different things. What helped me back in real estate from getting to the next level. I had a phase where, I had a bunch of money, and I had a phase where I had a bunch of money and I just was buying a lot of houses cash. And the thing about buying houses cash is if you're buying 1, 2, 3 houses a month and utilizing cash, or some with husky down payments. I had this lender where they said, as long as you put down 25%, we're not asking too many questions. So I would that mixed with cash, I was putting down a lot of money. And I was buying houses every single month. The thing about when you buying stuff cash is that eventually you're going to be capped out. I'm not Jeff Bezos. Eventually I'm going to be capped out. So it gets to the point where, like, dang, I bought so much that in every house it doesn't get finished in 2 weeks. As much as they say it online, some houses take a little bit longer than that. Some houses may even take a year to finish. So you put out a lot and it doesn't come back as fast. So that's one of the things that kind of helped me out from growing even more, because I had to wait for some stuff to finish before I could replenish, refuel, and then go back and hit the ground running again. Even when it comes into lenders, when you utilize a lender so much, they're like, hey, wait a minute. Let's finish up what you got going on before we lend to you even more. And then the second thing in reference to the online space, I would say specifically that not knowing how to pivot can hold you up. So what I mean by that is one of the things that I didn't pivot quick enough on certain things, because I just assume that everything is fine. Like a way you're teaching, or a certain style you're teaching, or a certain method you're teaching might have an expiration date. Or maybe even just repackaging what you say. Like, for example, what's something trendy right now? Section 8. Section 8 is trendy right now. Everybody's talking about Section 8 teaching. Hey, I'm gonna show you the Section 8 method. Well, you may have been doing rental properties. You may have been doing Section 8, but you may just say, hey, I'm gonna show you how to do the Bird method, buy a house and fix it up and rent it out. Well, understanding how to switch with the times and repackage it to where, hey, we're going to talk about the Section 8 method. It's still the same program you've been saying it. You just giving it a fresh new title. And I think one of the things that I made a mistake in my past, which caused a dip, and then I had to fix it to go back up, was not changing and rebranding or retitling something fast enough to make it fresh so people can understand like, oh, this is something new. I had a conversation with one of my friends yesterday, and he said he was just basically like, now AI is the thing. So like, hey, how you can find a deal using AI? It's the same systems and same stuff we're doing. It's just knowing how to repackage and repurpose and just make it just sound fresh. Just make it sexy all over again. And I think in reference to the online space, that's what one of the things that messed me up. I didn't know how to rebrand. I'm thinking we could run the same webinar for 10 years straight and everything will be fine. And some people may have done it. Kudos to them. But for me, it didn't work out that way. I had to learn how to after a couple webinars, I'm like, okay, this is getting a little funny money. We had to rebrand, refresh, and then try to, just get back to the drawing board.
Yeah, for sure. I respect that. That's something that I notice a lot of people they run into, but not necessarily everybody makes that pivot and are able to do it successfully, and so it's really good to be able to have the endurance to be able to know essentially when to let go to make room for the good things to come into your life. So that's really cool. So in terms of kind of like your value ladder, would you mind walking us through what that looks like for your programs and what you have going on for people to get involved in?
Yeah, so we and this may look at, and people may look at this in a different kind of way, but what I realized from the thing about me is we've been doing this for a couple years now, and I have a partnership company to where we partner with other individuals that are in the coaching space, and we help them have. One of my clients literally just finished out their challenge with $774,000. They just did this last week. So we do partnerships model where we do a rev share and help them with their business and help them blow out what they have. So between helping multiple different clients with my offers, what I realize, and this is just me, because people watch have it works different for everybody. There's really no middle class anymore. It's either low ticket or high ticket. It's either you have, let's say, a low ticket community, or you have a high ticket mentorship, maybe like a 10K, 8K, 15K, 20K. I've sold offers from $47 a month all the way to a 30K 1 year mastermind. I've done them all. And what I realize is that low ticket community and upgrade them to maybe like a 10K 3-month mentorship, whatever number you want to do is like kind of like my value ladder right now. And then you can, one thing we do is we do randomly, we do property tours. So we'll get a big Sprinter van or big Sprinter bus or a great, like whatever, how many people we have. And we'll charge maybe $1,000, $2,000. The price ranges for a 1 day tour, a couple properties. And then at the end of that, we can offer them the option to do the mastermind, the mentorship for X amount of months. But that's like sporadic when we feel like doing them. But it's pretty much the low ticket community, which is ours is called the funded and closer community, which teaches people funding, which teaches people credit, which teaches people real estate. We have weekly coaching calls with different coaches. We have credit repair calls. It's a lot. It's loaded. It's really better than a lot of people mentorships, to be perfectly honest. And then we have our 10K program, which is a few months where we get on a weekly coaching call every single Wednesday, teaching people stuff in detail. On our coaching calls in the program is from 8 to 9. On our mentorship is from 8 to midnight. Whenever we done giving us value, I don't get off until everybody's questions gets off, and it's me teaching everything. It's not like we have a bunch of different coaches. You're getting me. So that's how we pretty much put everything together right now. And what I realized people like that whole 6 different offers is like, for some people it works, but for me, I realized like in real estate is either like, what I realize in real estate is either you 1 foot in or you 2 feet in, or your whole body is in. Like, hey, I just want to learn a little bit at my own pace. The community may be good for you. No, I need to buy a house in the next 60 days. Oh, the mentorship is may be good for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I realized that too. The level of somebody's commitment is usually the speed of their growth. If they got 1 foot in, they might buy a house in a year. I got mentees just closing on his first 3 unit, and he's okay with that. I got people that want to ramp up. They want to buy 10, 20, 25 units. That's they want to grow their business, quarterly. So it's just, but the speed they want to grow is the speed of their effort, energy, and like you said, they tap their foot in, and they in both feet. They're submersed. It's just interesting because you got to know where people at and get and offer them what they want, sell them what they want, and give them what they need. Like, hey, This is what you're looking for. That's fine. Just go ahead and do a low ticket. This is what you want to do. Let's get a mentorship. This is what you want. You want to grow fast. You get in our mastermind group. So
exactly. That's what works out. But like I said, there's so many different online coaches. Everybody has their own, offer. Everybody has their own thing that works for them. I just realized in the real estate space is either like I want to just, learn it as I go, and I buy a house when I feel like it. Then you have people that's like, yo, I'm trying to get something in the next 60 days. And I realize there's nobody in between. It's like either you want to do it or you just want to learn about it.
Yeah. People are either all in or they're just dabbling, trying to get new information and stuff.
Exactly.
So this has been a lot of amazing information. Like what would you say is the best piece of advice that you have for people who are either looking to get into real estate or looking to start their business online, and how it is that they can do that most successfully, learning from you and what you've been through?
The best advice I can say for someone that wants to start their business, like, in person, I guess you want to say, and then online, is finding a offer or a product or a service or whatever it is that you want to do. Find one thing and kind of like hone in on that and master that, and then branch off within that offer. I
love that.
Like let's say, for example, you have a community. A community can branch off into upgrades, upsells. You can have challenges within the community. Like, you can branch off into different things. Real estate, I can buy a building. I can Airbnb some apartments. I can, rent out regular rents. I can do Section 8, or maybe I buy a commercial mixed use building. I can rent it out to someone else to run a business, or I can run my business inside of it. Like, just find that one thing that you really, really, like I said, my smoothest year was when I had that one offer and I just ran through it that whole year. And then I kind of like branched off outside of that. But I think you need to get some type of, if you're just now starting, you need to find that one thing and get some type of momentum. And the second thing, what I would say is find something that you don't mind fulfilling, but is actually a need. Sometimes the thing that you really, 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 really want to offer isn't really the need that people have.
Yeah.
So find, like, for example, I didn't necessarily want to teach the wholesale. I didn't mind it, but I didn't want to teach the wholesale because I'm all about ownership. But I understand that was the need that people had to try to, hey, I want to figure out how I can make money without taking on the responsibility of owning a house. So, and I didn't mind, it wasn't the best thing I wanted to do, but I didn't mind it. So I was able to fulfill that and make a lot of money doing that. So that's what I would say. Find something that you don't mind fulfilling. You may not be on a 10, but you're not at a 1. You like at a 7 or 8 at fulfilling this, but it's what a 10 of what people need. And I would say, like, double down on that. And then you could gradually start dipping into other things once that's pretty much set up, because now you might be like, okay, that's $1,000 offer. But hey, for people that want to do new construction, that's what I really want to teach. That's a $20K program. And because it's a little higher tier, requires a different type of person to get into something like that.
I love it. It is fun. Here's the thing. I like to learn a bunch of stuff and get around mentors or teaching me and start doing it. And then right away, I want to start teaching it to people. I'm like, hey, I found this out. This is how it works. There's the nuts and bolts. Person. And then, hey, I want to start teaching because I just want to ground it in. Like, I love creative financing. I talk about creative financing all day long. And I love when people ask me questions about creative financing, and I just want to give that away. So I get it. I get where you're coming from, how things change and evolve. I love it.
Wanted to thank you so much for your time today. This has been fantastic. You dropped a lot of value and everything. And I just kind of wanted to ask, where is it that people can reach out to you and either get a hold of one of your programs, take your challenge, or even just send you a message?
You can just DM me. You can send me, go to Instagram. My Instagram is DSBOONE, right at the bottom on the name. You can send me a DM. And then also I have weekly classes at fundedandclose.com. Funded and Close. The N is AND. And you can go there and we have weekly classes, or if we having like a challenge or something coming up, the website will be updated, but that's pretty much the main domain that we utilize, for what we do. So fundedandclose.com, and then you can type in Funded and Close on YouTube and watch our podcast. I'm excited about it. I've been doing it for the last couple months. We're at 21 episodes now. I've been dropping an episode every single Monday for the last, I might have started in like July or August or something like that, whatever month it was. And I'm excited about that. So that's pretty much from Instagram, to that website, fundedandclosed.com, and then type in Funded and Closed on YouTube, and then you'll be able to get in touch with me, multiple different ways.
Awesome.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate y'all.